my goodness. I've been through lots of trials and tribulations. At 12 years old, I watched my dad pass away right in front of me. I was up in the night taking care of him when he had come home from the hospital sick with leukemia. And I helped him to get to the bathroom and he fell and it just all happened. I ran to my room. My mom ran in there and she never knew I saw any of that until 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago, a year ago, because we never spoke about it really the next day. It happened, and then it was like life just went on. And so that was huge. That trial and that, whatever you want to call it, lasted for 38 years in my life.
Trauma is what it's called.
It was, yes. And so it just added trauma too, because you see, when I didn't heal, then all of a sudden, that's when panic attacks started in sixth grade, walking through the halls. I didn't know what it was.
Welcome to your new podcast, Optimum Ideation, with the host and Bridges. Idea interviews. The best of human ideation. Everyone has a superpower. But times are hot, many are in the darkness of their own mind, in need of a helping hand. Helping others to become whole.
Our sponsoring brands:
Third-party people, NFT Fashion, TGC Fashion, MarkPoint.
Enjoy the show with today's guest.
Welcome everybody to Optimum Ideation podcast. Our guest today is Valerie Maksym, and she is a certified John Maxwell coach, speaker, and trainer. She has a book that she'll be promoting, as well as her services for life coaching and achieving goals and dreams. So we're just going to go right into this episode with the first question, which is, what is your story, your resume, and how did you get to here?
All right. My story got real about when I was 44 years old and I found myself divorced for the second time. And I had never lived on my own because I went from high school to pregnant to married. And I realized at that time I had just been surviving through life, and I was just getting through the day. That's just how I live my life, just to get through the next day, And I realized there has to be more to life than this, right? So I didn't mean to go on a self-discovery journey. It just kind of started unfolding and happening for me, because my goal after that second divorce was, I need to go find somebody quickly to get married again. And I'm so thankful that I didn't do that. I'm so thankful that I took it's been 8 years now, to get to know me. And I've learned so much on this journey. And by learning so much, it's like my goal just to turn around and help other people to know that it's possible. Because I was at rock bottom, panic attacks, just didn't even know who I was, what I like, what's my purpose, what's my goals, what's my hobbies. Like at 45 years old and you're not knowing these things, it was an eye opener for me to be like, okay, I need to figure out me, and the rest of my life is going to be the best years of my life, regardless of whatever it's going to take. And I just began on this journey of creating me.
Yes, man. I've dealt with panic attacks myself, and and even though I had those things, I'm sitting here like a high operator in companies, and managing divisions of companies, but in the background, I'm like falling apart, these past 5 years or so, I've really kind of dove into who I am and who I want to be. And with doing that and figuring out yourself, you got to double back and help other people, right?
Exactly. Yes, for sure.
So similar path there, just,
Yes.
What layers did you have to reveal to become who you are now?
There was a lot. I like to look at it like I was an onion. Layers are still coming off. So when I tell people it's a journey, you don't really know, what layers are coming off, or, when you're going to heal of what. Didn't really know the certain order. For me, the layers that came off was I had to be true to myself. I had to look at me and say, okay, you are the common denominator in a lot of this. So even though people might have done things to you, but the bigger question I had to ask myself was, why did I allow it? And why did I allow it for so long? Because I did not want to play victim mode. I did not want to be that person. I wanted to grow, learn from the situations, and not repeat them again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely understand. What is the next layer that you'll be removing?
The next layer that I'm working on right now is, when you say you're on this journey of like who you want to become, we're always getting to the next level. So who I am today is going to be different than the person when I'm standing on stages in front of thousands of people talking, right? Because that is my end goal, is to get in front of, want to build my business and to speak. So the person I am today is not the person that's going to be on that stage in front of, hundreds of people, thousands of people as I'm sharing. So that person I have to become, I have to, every day I get up, no matter how I feel, I show up for myself.
Yeah.
There's days, and I cannot tell you, like there are days that I am just in a, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's just hard to get going. It's hard to show up. You're just kind of feeling down and out. And like, I've been doing this every day for 8 years. Like, when are these breakthroughs coming? And but I still show up. I still do. I still give. And so I have to continue to push through my fears. And that's the biggest layer now that I see that holds me back is, I don't even know if it's that much fear, but it's it is fear driven for sure. But having more belief in myself and knowing that that is what my purpose is. And so I really love being on these podcasts, and thank you for having me, because I've been getting on a couple podcasts a week, and I feel like it's like my training wheels of speaking in front of people, because I'm, getting my story better. I'm better at sharing my story, and it gets more comfortable, talking the more that you do it, because you just have to practice. You just have to show up for yourself and keep doing, no matter how hard it is. When you mess up, you feel like it's a failure. It's not, because those are learning moments that are going to add to you continue growing and moving forward.
Exactly. I love it, and this podcast, in a sense, have been training for me, because although I've kind of lived a life of no fear, in a sense, I never wanted to be like a face, or I never wanted to be on camera doing this. And so this is kind of like the last layer that I needed to just say, you know what, I'm not afraid of anything. And let's get out there. Let's make business happen. Let's network, and let's knock off this last little layer here.
That's awesome.
But in doing this, as you said, it's very helpful for others and therapeutic, in a sense. What trials and tribulations have you been through?
Oh my goodness. I've been through lots of trials and tribulations. At 12 years old, I watched my dad pass away right in front of me. I was up in the night taking care of him when he had come home from the hospital sick with leukemia. And I helped him to get to the bathroom, and he fell, and it just all happened. I ran to my room. My mom ran in there, and she never knew I saw any of that until 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago, a year ago, because we never spoke about it really the next day. It happened, and then it was like life just went on. And so that was huge. That trial, and that, whatever you want to call it, lasted for 38 years in my life.
Trauma is what it's called.
It was, yes. And so where I was at in life. So I was broken. So broken attracts broken. So I was continuously not attracting what was for me. And so that was a really, really tough lesson to learn, and looking back to say, wow, 38 years. But I know everything happens for a reason. And so now I'm able, through all these things that I have been through kids on drugs. I have been through, getting a phone call where your kid was jumped by a bunch of people with golf clubs and he's almost dead. I've been through so many things that, you just don't want to go through. But I've made it through. I've been through, divorces. I've been through being cheated on. I have been through I think the list just goes on. I had a son that was born sick, who was supposed to be all kinds of health complications. He had an enlarged liver and spleen and all those medical things. So there's just a lot that I've been through, but I've made it through. And so that's the thing today. I can't even ask for anything to make me happier and or more joy or more peace. And that's why it's so exciting for me to talk to people and share, to give them a little bit of hope that it's possible to work through. It's not easy, but it's possible when you invest in yourself. and you take time to learn you, know you, develop you, like it's just endless.
Exactly.
What can happen? The
That's
possibility.
why I did this podcast, is to just share these insights with others, because that list that you just listed, I was that kid on a lot of that,
Right.
to make it to where I've got in life is just a blessing, and to be
Right.
here now facing your final fears and removing all the layers and just sharing that with others is priceless
There's
information.
nothing more freeing. Like you probably think like you feel like when you're like that 10-year-old kid and you're just free, you're just you, just being
Yeah.
authentic, that is just the most freeing feeling in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And for you to focus on that, it's got to be a blessing to be in that career focus too.
Oh yes. Yeah, it is.
Now, when did you become passionate about your focus?
I've always naturally life coached people my entire life.
Yeah.
Even when I was at rock bottom, I had friends in the gym and places, they would all come to me. I was a vault, I was able to just listen, provoke the right questions for them to figure out their own answers. And I've just always done that. But when I became really focused on it whenever I did divorce 8 years ago, because I'd only ever been a stay-at-home mom, and I wanted to follow my passion, which was some kind of counseling or helping people. Wasn't really sure what it was going to be at the time, but I needed immediate money. So I launched my own personal training business, and I did that. And I did the John Maxwell program, but I really didn't feel like for myself that I had made it through anything. Like, how can I really get out there passionately sharing my story when I'm sitting here at rock bottom? And I know you can do it, but for me, it just didn't feel right. So I didn't actually like launch out to do it and my focus on what I'm doing now till about, I would say 2 years ago. Within the last year, really super like getting laser focused on it, like writing my book, writing life coaching programs, and just knowing that there's no turning back, because it's like, this is such my passion and my purpose that I don't have any choice. Like it's when you figure that out, it's like, okay, this is like, if I don't eat, I'm going to die. If I don't do this, I'm going to eat, I have to do it. So
yeah, I understand. Who were the greatest contributors to your character?
That is an interesting question, because it can be people that are not also good for us too, because I will tell you, I did date one person during this 8-year period of time for about 2 years. And I thought that was the one, like my world, my everything. And there was just a lot that happened in that relationship that I'm not even going to go into all of it today, but I learned so much from the trauma that I went through in that relationship about myself. Like literally, it was like I had a 180-degree turnaround, but also my heart was ripped out and broken in 10 million pieces. So it's kind of that contradiction of, okay, I don't want to go through that again because that was super painful. But I would have to say that those moments and the things that I went through there contributed to my character in ways that it made me like, okay, why do you let people run over you? Why do you let men cheat on you? Why do you allow these things so easily? Because the old me be like, well, I was raised in church, you just forgive and move on. And in another thing with my dad passing away and never talking about it, I subconsciously created patterns that when something traumatic happens, we just put it under the rug and move on. We don't act like it's anything, right? You just like, where are we going to dinner? What are we doing? And so I really feel like that relationship really, as hard as it was like light bulbs, like, Valerie, you're better than this. You are created for more than this. This is, I really lost my identity in that. Like, if you want to say like, I don't know if you want to say identity, I lost, like, I just felt like I was nothing. And then I had to really have that reality why I felt rejected. I felt all these things. And then I started really diving deep and I realized he didn't reject me. He just chose somebody else. And that is his choice in life. Just as if I was dating somebody and I wanted to choose somebody else, just the way he did it. But for so long, I just felt so rejected and like I could never pick the pieces up and move on. And, how am I ever going to find someone again? No one's ever going to like me like that. And just all those things that played out in my head. But whenever I begin to just get real with my feelings and why was I feeling rejected? And was it really rejection? And it really, I want to say it just really pushed me to get out there and find my purpose, which I knew what it was, and dive into it. This is the time, and you need to dive into it, and it's your purpose, and that's what's going to bring, happiness, because when you find your purpose, you're going to find your happiness. It just goes
Yes.
together. It just absolutely goes together. And I give, just real quick here, but I love to give this illustration because I tell people to think of you're looking out in the meadow of grass and there's like a tree out there and it's just a beautiful tree. And I tell someone, okay, your purpose is in a chest buried beneath that tree, but you got to go find it. So you're having to dig for it, you're having to look for it, you're having to ask the questions, and till you find it. And then once you find it and you start walking in it, that tree will begin to start bearing fruit. And that fruit is like happiness. Like it's like for me, it's whenever I coach people and their life just changes and things happen and they have these light bulb moments, or I bring in enough financial income that I can take my kids on a vacation and do things, right? Those are my happiness because I'm walking in my purpose, that now I'm bearing fruit and I'm able to, see that. So I just really, purpose is so important. And I really did find my purpose through, through all that I went through with him. And even though that was a hard way of saying it, I didn't want to have to go through that. I wish somebody would have just come in and, it'd been a lot easier, but I have that one. And then I have one other friend who's been by my side for the last 4 years. And, he was in corporate America and he has been my cheerleader, just like a best friend. I don't see him a lot. I haven't seen him in a year, but still through text, always texting me, hey champ, how you doing? How's the
Yeah.
book coming? Just having somebody to have that belief in me. And that's
So
another reason
important.
that I like to believe in other people so much, because
Exactly.
I don't think my book would be done and I'd be where I'm at today if it wasn't for him. In fact, I know I wouldn't be, because his just subtle little text, or, how's it going? Or if I'm having a down day, you've got this. You just need to, dust yourself off, pick yourself up tomorrow and reset. He'll just like give me the right words every time
Yeah.
that I need. And I'm like, man, how does he know that every time I'm like
Yeah.
bottom, like he'll just show up in my text and say something.
It's so important to have those types of people in your life, and you'd be surprised how many people don't have that.
I've gone to book signings and stuff, and people will talk to me and they'll hug me, and then they'll come back and hug me, and then they'll hug me again, because I'm speaking life into them. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, these people are so like dried up. Like they don't obviously have a lot of people in their corner, believing in them and seeing things. And I don't ever say anything I don't feel or see in a person. So whatever I'm saying is just truth. But yeah, a lot of people just don't have that support system.
Yeah. When you first started on this path, what is something that is more difficult than you had imagined?
More difficult than I had imagined, financially making it on my own. I had never, ever worked, didn't have a resume, and you're just thrown out there. I don't know how people do it. I mean, I
Yeah.
look at, how do these mothers that are single and don't have any means of help, how I don't know. My hat's off to all of them, because it is not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely not easy. And when I met my wife, I just she was kind of in a situation where she had a little bit of work background, but I wanted her to have like a platform, let's say, kind of like what you're building. And
Mhm.
so her focus, she was really good at like graphic design and web design
Okay.
and also fashion and makeup. So I was
Right.
like, look, these are the things that you love. Let's
Mhm.
hone in on that. Let's develop these things. And now, if you look, she's got like a really trending fashion store called
Oh, cool.
tgcfashion.com,
Okay.
and she is kicking some butt there,
That's
and
awesome.
it's
I love hearing women,
yeah,
empowering women and the things that they do, because that, I don't know, that's just my heart, but that's exciting.
yeah, it's really great, and we just kind of roll it out. I don't know, a little over a year ago, but
Mhm.
the fact that she'll yell from the other room, sale, and the kids go, sale,
Right.
sale,
Right.
because she's
Yeah.
doing this while she's homeschooling,
Oh, wow.
and I've worked from home and developed a 7-figure business and
Mhm.
this 6-figure business with her. So
That's awesome.
these past 4+ years, but like you said, it's you start from scratch, and
Yeah.
you just you don't know, you
And
don't
I
know.
didn't know, like, starting from scratch, and I don't know, and then, then the whole COVID thing happened.
Yeah,
So I'm a
man.
personal trainer. So if I don't, so at that time, I'm a personal trainer. So if I'm not training people, I don't get a paycheck, and I don't,
Yeah,
have anything else. And so I had to get creative, and I had my wagon with my weights, and I would go outside people's houses to their park. Like, I kept 95% of my people all through COVID. I kept
Wow.
them because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And so many other people in the industry that I know, they were just at home. They weren't doing anything. They're like, okay, well, this is shut down. This is shut down. We can't do anything. And I'm like, well, I can't have that mindset. So we're going to keep working.
Can't afford it, you know.
Right, right.
We spoke on this a little bit, but let's say, who were you at your lowest points? And then the inverse of that is, who are you at your highest points?
So at my lowest points, I look back at that girl, and I don't even know her anymore, because
Yeah.
at my lowest points, like, I had zero self-confidence. I had zero voice. I completely lost my voice in one of my relationships, where I just got to the point to even talk, because why? I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to do the wrong thing. And I was just that broken. I couldn't even drive from my house to the grocery store a mile away without stopping 4 or 5 times, because of my panic attacks were so strong. I thought I was having a seizure. And that was just no way to live. That was just dark, and just very, I don't know, just didn't seem like how do I get out of this? It just seemed like you're just in a night fog, in a phase, and you're just literally counting the hours. Okay, when is it time to go to bed? Like, how much longer till it's going to be dark? It was very, very low. That was a very, very low time for me. Now in my highest, like, I'm always just positive energy, and I get up every morning, and I have my morning ritual, all the stuff that I go through to get my day going. And I'm excited for the day. Like, if you were a little kid going on a field trip, like, what's going to happen today? Like, who am I going to meet today? And, what conversations am I going to have today? And, I look at it with excitement, because I look at life as a gift. And even more so through all we've been through with COVID and things happening. It's like every day, yeah, I'm turning 52 next week. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful I'm turning 52. I'm not looking at it anymore like, oh gosh, I'm getting old. I'm thankful, I'm blessed, I'm healthy. You have to wake up with that positive, for me, that positive mindset. And it just keeps, where you focus is where you go. So it's on the positive of all the good things that are happening.
Exactly. No, that's beautiful. Thank you. What is your best piece of advice for an audience that truly wants to become the best version of themselves?
My best piece of advice would be, don't second doubt it, just do it. Because if that's really what you want, then you just do. Because if you even for 1 second start doubting or questioning or thinking, because I know I've been there, it prolongs you from doing it. Because then you're like, oh yeah, but okay, I'll start it next week. Well, I don't know. I'm not really, you're the mind game. So my best thing advice is just get out there and do it. And do it even if you're failing, because you're failing forward. That book, Failing Forward, like, even if you're messing it up, you're still doing something to push yourself forward and to invest in yourself. And you just never know. My whole journey for the last 8 years, people ask me all the time, how did you plan your journey? I'm like, the interesting thing is, I haven't. And every single day a new little gem pops up, and it's something else. And it might be through a book, it might be through someone I talk to, it might be through something I see on YouTube, it might be through something that I'm just kind of in my creative time, and I'm journaling, and things come up. But it's like I will tell you, every single time I need something, it's there, but it's not there early. It's never there early. So it's just like, by me continuing to show up for myself, doing the things, the door opens, opportunity opens. Barnes and Noble's doing a book signing for me in April. And, now I'm on a panel of a women's empowerment group. But
Awesome.
I would not know all these things, right? But the doors just keep opening, because I'm showing up for myself. And that's what you have to do. You have to show up for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit to that, like these past 4 years or so, through this crazy time that we've been in, man, I've just seen so many ups and downs. And I had the greatest business plan, and the greatest, processes of how we could do this and how we can scale this. And just to see that just get exploded by all this oil and gas crisis, and then COVID and this and that, and, to go through all this that I've been through, It's just, you get to this spot where it's like, okay, everything that I need is here. It's always been here,
Right.
and what I need tomorrow is going to come. It might not come
Mhm.
exactly how you want. It's
Yeah.
going to come in some other package or some other
Mhm.
thing. But yeah, you're
But you
spot
didn't
on.
quit. So you can't quit.
No, yeah,
You can't second guess it. You can't quit. You just have to keep showing up. I tell my kids all the time, if something ever happens to me, what are you going to tell people that I instilled in you? And they're like, okay, that there's a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down the alphabet until we figure it out. We don't quit. I'm like,
yeah,
yes, you don't quit. There is always a way if you want it.
yeah. If you don't give up,
You cannot give up. As hard as things look, I don't
yeah,
care if it's crawling, like some days you're just crawling, but you're still showing up for yourself and moving forward.
exactly, exactly. Um, now, what practices or techniques do you use throughout the day to make your day a success?
This has been a journey. So, I was raised Christian, you pray and you do all the things, and that's good. But I've taken it a step further just recently because I have really enjoyed Joe Dispenza, really
Yeah,
enjoyed his stuff. And so I never really understood meditation. I was trying to understand it. I've been following him now for 6 months doing his meditations.
yeah, he's
And I
great.
just came across a training that he did that he talked about from the sacral up to the back of the where the brain, how when we breathe, how how energy goes up, and then when you're holding, it opens up
Tighten your
for
lower
your,
abdomen.
so like it
As,
opens things in your
yeah,
penile, your what is it called, the
pineal gland.
yes, and how that's where your creativity and all these things are at. And so I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense what he's saying. So then the last few days when I've been doing, I try to do it every morning, at least a 20-minute one where I'm doing the meditation. And I have to tell you, my creativity, I'm writing programs. I have 4 programs I'm writing for life coaching, and they're all signature programs that I'm putting together, all everything from who am I to communication. There's several of them, and one's also on health and health, because I do all my fitness stuff. But just the creativity that keeps coming, I'm like, where is this coming from? So I mean, I literally make sure I have an hour every morning before I have to start getting ready. That's my time. Whether I'm listening to something, I try very hard to don't look at my phone for the first hour. No emails, no text. Try really hard. That first hour is my time to get my mind right, to um, just have that time. So that way, when I'm starting my day, I'm starting out filled up, because you can't give out when you're empty. So every single day I try to fill up as much as I can. So when I'm showing up places, like I'm ready, I'm prepared. Let's go. We got this.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Joe up, because man, I'm a big fan, and that's really helped me through these past few years too. So,
Yeah.
and I've known about him for a long time, as well as Wim Hof breathing is
Okay.
something that really helps me out too.
Okay.
Um, if you could interview 3 people, who would it be?
So I'm a big Oprah Winfrey fan. I just am. I think that woman has just been through so much, and she just continues to just move forward, and I love it. She continues to evolve and grow and evolve and grow. So she would be one. To me, when I think of her, because I've been through my journey of trying to find me in women empowerment, living in, another thing that I teach on is women being queens. And when you're trying to find your dating, who you want to date, you need to groom for to be a queen, because you're not going to find a king unless you're like, the queen. So I've been really doing a lot of things on goddesses and queens. And I just feel like that Marilyn Monroe is just kind of that iconic. You see her photo, you see her quotes, and you're just like, wow, what a, she was way before her time in her just knowing who she was, right, as a woman, and having that confidence. So I would definitely, and Tony Robbins, I did say Tony Robbins because I've taken his classes, and I've followed his journey probably now for 30 years. I mean, a long time. I've seen him go through, so many things. And I just, when I hear him, he always, I don't know, he always speaks to me somehow. You watch I watched his Netflix, I think it was on Netflix, his show, and it's just how he can get a room just so stirred up, just in the emotion, and just really just cut to the core, and just, just pierce someone's heart.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I mean, that's a gift.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Big fan of his as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, vice versa. If you want a queen, you have to behave yourself. You have
Right.
to be close to God, or
Hmm.
whatever source that you
Right.
may
Yeah,
feed into,
exactly.
because you have to be able to share those lessons with your partner.
Hmm.
Um, if you ever write another book, what will it be about?
Well, I'm already writing it. Like, it's about halfway done. It is called Unleashing Your Inner Superhero. And so it's just all on how to, it's just opening up your thought process to even think about what that means. And I had a guy design a photo for me, and it's a picture of me as a superhero, and it's being launched by fire, like out of my comfort zone. So when we're
Yeah.
launched out of our comfort zone, that's where the magic in life happens, right? So we can't launch out of our comfort zone and do these things when we don't even know who we are. So just learning in that book, I'm going to talk about, learning how to be authentically you, giving yourself permission. A lot of people have to give themselves permission, because we get so wired that, well, my mom won't like that if I do that, or my dad, or someone, or this or that. We just stay connected to doing old ways, and in behaving in the way that people want us to behave, because that's what we're told.
Right.
I just feel like there's nothing more. For me, I love authentic people. I'm just drawn to them, and I may not even agree with all that they're, you know, portraying and stuff, but I just am drawn to that, to know, and to their spirit, just drawn to that they're okay to just freely be themselves in a
Right.
good way. I'm not saying anything bad or harmful, but there's just, some women, you're just like, man, you just have some serious self-confidence. I love it.
Yeah.
Just in the way that they behave and walk and act, and they're just being true to themselves. And I
Very
think when
good.
people get there, that really, to me, is living.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree fully. Um, Now we're about to close out here. Do you have a networking event, a book, a product, service, or invention that we can help you promote to the audience?
Well, I do have my life coaching programs that I offer. And so that's through my website, maxsymizinglife.com.
Okay.
And I do have a book out on Amazon and Audible, and it's called Maksymizing Life.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
And what is the best way for the audience to support you, get in contact, and schedule you?
So like I said, they can reach out at my website. And so my last name is spelled Maksym. So it's Maksymizing Life, like that. And I made all my handles Maksymizing Life. So if someone's on Facebook, they can look up Maksymizing Life, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm on Maksymizing Life.
Perfect. Perfect. It's been a blessing having you today. I look forward to networking with you in the future. And if there's anything that we can do to support you, we will. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Maksymizing Life.